Meeting called to order. Councilmember Chapman.
Here.
Councilmember Clayton is here. Councilmember Kendall.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Quinn. Here. Mayor Moore.
Here.
Please stand for a moment of silent prayer, moment of reflection. We will now salute the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As to comply with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, PL 1975, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided in the following manner. The annual notice was forwarded to the Asbury Park Press, the Coaster, and the Star Ledger on January 7th, 2022, and posted on the bulletin board the same date. All notices are on file with the city clerk. We are on to special events applications.
There are two applications before you this evening. The first one is for the annual polar bear races, which will be held the morning of New Year's Eve, and it will be on the boardwalk only. Second application is for the downtown manure tree lighting in Kennedy Park on December 20th. Are there any questions, comments?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We're now on to items to be presented. We have a 2022 transportation update by the Director of Transportation, James Bonanno.
Good evening. Hi, good evening. I have prepared this presentation to give you a good idea, an overview of what the transportation utility has been working on this year, what we do day to day, what we have been working on, what the projects have been completed, what are underway, and what are coming up. So I'll just jump right in. Start off with our metered parking revenue. Metered parking is something we deal with daily. In 2022, as of November 30th, we have collected $7,478,000 in parking revenue. Compared to previous years, 2022 has been our highest revenue year so far. Up until now, 2019 was our highest year, and we have surpassed that. We did raise rates in 2019, so just to give you a comparison, we did about 62,000 additional transactions in general from 2019, so we are seeing more visitors in the city, more increasing need for parking and demand on parking system. We have a few mobile apps and parking meters that we take transactions through. About 72% of the transactions made this year in 2022 were through mobile applications. The rest were through our parking kiosks. We work daily to manage and maintain the parking kiosks. We have done a lot this year to update them to 4G connections, to newer software, as well as fixing recurring problems and replacing pieces in the meters. We are happy to say that we have all 128 meters currently working just fine. Just to give you an idea, we have been seeing an increase in mobile app use over the years. In 2019, it was around 44% mobile use and about half through kiosks, maybe a little more. And now we're seeing that only about 28% this year of transactions have gone through the kiosks. We are using updating signage throughout the city. I'm sure you've noticed the larger blue pay to park signs. We have a new website that kind of directs you to our applications to try and encourage you to use them, as well as new decals on the parking meters, which is on the bottom left. While we don't plan on getting rid of the kiosks, we just encourage mobile use because it's quicker, more convenient, and requires less maintenance from us. Just additional to that, we do have parking revenue from permits sold. We're seeing the number of permits, residential permits, employee permits, Banks Avenue garage permits have been increasing year to year. We had over 1,200 residential permits so far this year as of November 30th. 1,400 employees, 118 Banks Avenue garage, and even over 1,200 guest permits, which are day permits. And we collected $244,000 in permits sold this year, compared to $155,000 in 2020. And we don't have any previous data from that because we switched permit providers this year, which I'll explain in a little bit. We also offer parking reservation through special events, and we have seen those increase as well. While we had 47 reservations total last year as of November 30th, We had 83 so far this year. And while the revenue isn't still about the same, those reservations could be anywhere from 1 space to 50 spaces depending on the event. So it all kind of comes through. But it spends a lot of time of putting out the parking signs and reserving spaces all over town for these events. For our scooter shares, we launched our scooter share on May 14th of 2021. And you can see on the top right, we have a small table of our trips by date. So each day has total trips for that day. We saw or have seen 112,619 trips as of November 30th. Majority of those are during the summer. I usually use this table on a monthly basis to see what our busiest days are of the month and keep track what events were happening those days and how we can better plan for the future. Just looking at this, I can tell you Memorial Day, July 4th, and See Here Now were our biggest weekends of the year. On our bottom left, we see another map that I use pretty frequently. It shows how often each roadway is used. The thicker and darker the color is the more popular roadways. So this tells us we need to concentrate on Cookman Avenue, Kingsley, Grand, Lake, and Ocean, as well as Main Street. And that's how I focus and manage the system as well, by making sure we have scooters in certain locations and make sure they're rotated periodically to make sure that they're available. The whole point of the scooters is to make sure that we keep moving around the city and have a less demand on parking. If we can create other needs and other modes of transportation and other availability, then we can have fewer circulating cars and less of a demand on the parking system. So last year's data obviously isn't complete. It's May 14th to November 30th, but we saw 96,940 trips in 2021, while we're at 112,619 today. The city does receive 35 cents of every trip that is made, so we have received $39,416.65 in this year alone on scooter trips. We have our EV chargers. We have EV chargers on Madison Avenue between Main Street and Bond Street, 7th Avenue in Kingsley towards the beach, and on Springwood Avenue near Union Avenue. We saw 1,566 charging sessions at Madison Avenue, which is an average about 4.7 a day, and vehicles were there for about, on average, 3.2 hours charging. 7th Kingsley had about 787 sessions for the year. So keep in mind, 7th Kingsley was installed on March 30th of this year, so it hasn't had a full year of use. And that's about 3.23 charging sessions per day, with an average of about 3.4 hours of charging time per vehicle. Springwood Avenue was installed on August 25th, so that's even less time. But it saw 59 charging sessions to date, with 0.6 per day and 5.2 hours of average charge time. Just so you have an idea of what a good charging station, how it's performing, usually we look for about 3 hours of use per port per day. And just, I'll tell you, without going into more details, Madison Avenue regularly meets and exceeds the desired usage, more so in the summer than other times of the year, of course. 7th Avenue and Kingsley Station meets and exceeds the desired use in the summer, but not in the off-season. And Springwood Avenue has so far not met the goal usage, but we still are looking and waiting to see it grow, as it only was installed in August 25th. Just a little deeper look into Madison Avenue EV chargers, so you can see the growth of EV use over the years. In 2020, there were 339 total charging sessions. 2021, 906, and 2022, 1,561. So we are seeing more EV vehicles and more charging taking place. We're seeing about an average of 4.67 sessions per day right now at Madison Avenue, and about 3.16 hours per charging session. Yes. So I just wanted to walk you through how I make my decisions daily based on projects. I gave you all a copy of the Viking Walking Master Plan. When I start road projects or I'm looking at road projects and grants, I reference this as a guideline. But I want to take you through a few of the key sections, and I made you little wing notes on what sections these are if you want to turn to them or review them. To start, I regularly look at our proposed bicycle network. This was, designed with public input, advisory committee input, through public meetings, and even with level of traffic stress analysis and crash analysis to say what would be best for bicycle infrastructure around the city. This isn't a map of exactly what's coming to be, but it's a very good building block and proposed bicycle network of what we can build off of. Thinking about this year, we put Sharrows on Sunset Avenue where it says bicycle lane, so it's not always exactly as the map is going to be written, but we try to meet it and try to build out a bike network as best we can. We are putting in more bicycle racks around the city. We try to use our preferred U-shaped racks. These are better because they have 2 points of connection to the ground and offer 2 points of connection with bicycles. We do have some posts and rings coming, which are acceptable designs, but just not preferred. We are trying to do away with some older designs. We have a number of designs around the city, and we try to make sure that they are safe, secure, and usable. We also have, a section in this document about traffic calming. This is something that I'm looking to use more as we go forward. Speeding is always a problem in the city, and it's growing nationwide. And I'm looking to implement some more strategies, which are kind of outlined in this plan. So on the top left, we can see an image of bump outs. They narrow the crossing for pedestrians, create visual friction for cars to slow them down, and in some cases allow you to move stop bars forward so you can get a better line of sight for vehicles. The one in the middle on top is called a chicane. It basically puts a curve in the roadway that you have to navigate to hopefully slow cars down. We have our roundabout in the top right, which I'm sure most of us are familiar with, and our big picture in the bottom is of a raised intersection, which raises the intersection about the raise the intersection to the curb level, creating kind of a bump up the way a speed bump would, and a raised platform which slows vehicles down so they go down on the other side. It also allows for easier crossing and ADA crossing as it's up high enough to meet the curb. And lastly, we have priority intersections improvements. These are not a list of intersections that are or need to be improved in any specific order. They are more intersections that have example problems that we see around the city in many places. So in your plan you've seen before you, it'll lay out certain complications or issues we see at each intersection and ways we can address them. So when I see an intersection I need to improve, I often reference this and see what other locations have these issues and how it's recommended to fix them. So just moving towards projects that have been completed this year. We have done some road work this year. We have included daylighting along 4th Avenue and at the intersection of 8th Avenue and Emory Street. If you're not familiar, daylighting is the practice of painting yellow spaces or yellow zone 25 feet from the crosswalk at the intersection. That space is actually a no parking zone by state law. It provides better lines of sight for pedestrians and for cars as you approach the intersection. And I'm sure you've seen it around the city, most of our roads at this point have them, and we are making sure that all of our intersections do have them, so we make them a little safer for pedestrians and for drivers. We had some removal and replacement of some markings along Cookman Avenue that were confusing. There were some handicap spaces and some line work that were having people confused about where the parking space actually was, and it was causing confusion. So we took some time to remove and replace some lines along Cookman Avenue, mostly on the 500 block and by the intersection of Cookman and Asbury Avenue. We restriped 2nd Avenue and Banks Avenue. 2nd Avenue from Central Avenue to Memorial Drive now has 2 bike lanes, it has full crosswalks, it has daylighting. It's the whole issue that slows cars down, makes them feel a little tighter while providing safe locations for bicycles to travel and pedestrians to cross. Same thing with Banks Avenue between Main Street and Memorial. We also did parking stalls for the post office to make sure we kind of organize things so that people aren't, blocking fire hydrants, blocking driveways and things like that nature. We repainted nearly all of the permit-only designated spaces citywide. You'll notice along 3rd, 4th, Park, Grand, 8th, 7th, 5th, we do have resident-only parking spaces that have permit-only on the ground, and we find when that is painted clearly, we have fewer issues of visitors parking in resident spaces. So we do make sure we keep up on those, and we've done a lot of those this year. There was the reconstruction of Bond Street from 5th Avenue to Summerfield Avenue. This was a replacement of the sanitary sewer, replacement of pavement and striping. This is completed. We are waiting on the last bit of striping to be completed, which will happen on a warmer day. But it is a completed project, and we have a brand new road from 5th to Summerfield Avenue. And also we've restriped aspects of City Hall parking lot and the Transportation Center parking lot, namely the stalls in the transportation lot, which were very faded, and the directional arrows outside in the City Hall lot, so cars know which way is one way and which way is two-way, and have any enter and exit the lot. We also implemented new regulations in the City Hall parking lot, namely a 3-hour parking maximum during the hours of 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. This was to get more spaces available for people visiting the city hall to pay bills and do whatever they need to do and utilize services. We were seeing that there were no parking spaces available, and people that needed to access city services couldn't. And this is what allowed us to have and provide some extra spaces to visitors and get things done. We've also updated a lot of the signage to be more clear and restriped the crosswalk and directional signs around the parking lot. So we did launch a new permit portal for parking permits and a new parking enforcement system. This was a long process that has allowed us to basically review permits faster, has hopefully made the application process for residents faster and easier and clearer, as well as got rid of some problems we've had with our previous providers and issues that we've run into. The best way I found to visualize this improvement to you was to try and show you a graph or a table of our percentage of avoided tickets by month. We've been keeping track since October of 2021 of how many parking tickets or tickets issued that are avoided, and while there are reasonable reasons to avoid tickets, there are some that are our own fault or issues with our systems. And since we replaced both systems in March, we have seen a steady decline in the number of avoided tickets per month. This is like when valid permit holders, people who have a residential permit, get a ticket for no reason. That was happening a lot in our own system, which is happening far less now. We're being able to drill down in our new systems that are more specific and better to find out what the issues are and correct them, as well as people who pay parking. Sometimes we have people who pay the meter and then get a ticket because the system malfunctions in some way. We're seeing far fewer of those, and we're working towards getting this number as low as possible. It will never be zero because there are, like I said, legitimate reasons to avoid tickets, whether it's a mistake on an officer's part or if it's something actually broke. But we are trying to get this as low as possible so that we're not wasting staff time and aggravating people on the street with tickets that they do not deserve. We partnered with Rutgers in the spring to install a pop-up bicycle lane along Cookman Avenue and Asbury Avenue by the intersection. This project was aimed at finding a way to, one, provide good bicycle travel and pedestrian travel through the intersection, and to mitigate some of the complications with motor vehicles. I'm sure everyone's familiar that Cookman Avenue on the approach to Asbury Avenue, the intersection there, for a long time it has been thought that that's 2 lanes. It isn't actually wide enough to legally have 2 lanes. The right-turning vehicles are often squeezing through and making complications with pedestrians and other roadway users. And we are trying to correct that, and what we did was we had a bicycle lane painted on with a small 3-foot buffer, so a 5-foot bicycle lane close to the sidewalk, then a 3-foot painted buffer with cones, and then our large travel, 1-lane travel way, which we're supposed to have. And we had 2, you can see them in the, I guess that's the southeast corner and northeast corner of the intersections, 2 small painted buffer zones. These buffer zones were to direct the car to make a wider right turn around them instead of making a tight right turn, which would slow traffic down and makes the turn movement safer, as well as safer for bicycles, but safer for cars speeding into the intersection. We saw from survey results that, at 59 respondents, 55% of them had used the bicycle lane, about half male and half female, and 90% supported making the lane permanent. And even at a rating of from 0 to 10 of how safe the lane is, we saw 70% of respondents said between 7 and 10. This isn't something that's going to become permanent overnight. This is something that was a test project to see how it would work. I think overall it was a success, and I'm looking forward to looking further into how something like this could improve the intersection. There were, of course, problems with the design we did. It wasn't a perfect design, but we learned from them, and now we think we can work forward, move forward with a better design that might fix the intersection in the future. So this is a project that we're working on. I don't have a strong plan for what it will be, but I am working to hopefully improve this intersection in general, whether it's the use of construction or just paint. We did install 2 new EV chargers this year, so we have 3 locations in total. I said Madison Avenue between Main and Bond earlier was activated since September 26, 2019. The one just east of Kingsley Street on 7th Avenue was installed on August 25th, and we installed it on Springwood Avenue, just east of Union Avenue on August 25th. Sorry, 7th Avenue Kingsley was March 30th. That makes that we have now 7 charging stations, each with 2 ports. So 14 total charging spaces, I believe. Yes. So we're building up our charging network, which is good, and we're seeing that it's getting used. So that's a positive. I should say that these chargers were at no cost to the city. They were installed by Green Spot, our partners, and they have been very good about maintaining. We have not had many issues with the chargers, and when we do, they are out there the next day fixing them. We were able to finish a project from last year or year before, the wayfinding signage. We were able to get all of these signs installed this year. These signs are the large black ones that point to places of interest or importance in the city, and it gives the city a good aesthetic appeal as well as directional for people who are visiting, just beyond street signs. Sometimes you have an address of a place, but you don't know how to get there, and this way we can see, oh, the library is this way, the city hall is this way. So we have them up throughout the city now, and we've seen, at least anecdotally, that it has improved directional use. We have completed the construction or reconstruction of the Asbury Avenue and Ridge Avenue intersection and traffic signal. It is now 4 arms with plenty of traffic signals, pedestrian signals, new ADA ramps and crosswalks, as well as some new pavement. We will now be handing this over to Monmouth County for their continued maintenance. Just so you're aware, Asbury Avenue from Ridge to Memorial Drive, or to Main Street, sorry, is the property and maintenance responsibility of Monmouth County. We have an agreement that dates years back that we, as the city, are responsible to upgrade these signals and give them off to Monmouth County for their future maintenance. Bond Street, as I said before, has been or is about to be completed. We are waiting for some last-minute striping to occur. We got to the striping a little late in the year, and it has to be a certain temperature for it to stick properly. So we're waiting for some warm weather to get the final bits of striping down. But we have new crosswalks, new daylighting, new pavement, new sanitary sewer, and soon to be bicycle showers as well. We had to clean Pine again this year. This is the actual closest Pine Street from 3rd Avenue to 4th Avenue, next to Bradley Elementary. So far as it's popular, we closed the road for a few hours on Friday evening from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., have an officer there just for safety. And the parents have been very good about having little events and having the kids come out, and it's been a very fun and productive program in the summers. I think it ran from June 17th to September 2nd, I believe, this year. And hopefully we could do it again next year, if everyone's interested. So we have some active grants that we have been working on. I've been made some progress through the year. The first of which is the Safe Routes to School grant. This is a grant that is dedicated to putting traffic calming along 3rd and 4th Avenue from Ridge Avenue to Memorial Drive around Bradley Elementary School. You may remember that it was originally designed to have roundabouts. We had a public meeting in the spring. We had one in December of last year and then one again in the spring. And after a lot of public comments, we sat down, I believe me and some city council sat down, and we had discussions about what public comments we could address and how we could address them. And we decided to move ahead with a slightly different plan, which removed the roundabouts and the inclusion of raised intersections. This addressed concerns in a few ways. It affected parking less. It removes no parking spaces now. It is a raised actual physical feature rather than a lot of the painted features that came with the roundabout. And I think it's a little more understood that what a ramp is, speed bump is much similar to a speed bump than it is something that people don't normally figure or recognize. The ramp will be a few inches in height with a 5 ramp up to it. It's a slight, but you feel it raise. You'll be at basically sidewalk level and down the other side. We will have pavers around basically the crosswalks around the frame of it with black pavement in the middle, so it's a bit visual as well. And we'll have these about 4 along 4th Avenue at Prospect Avenue, Bridge Street, Pine Street, and Comstock Street, and 2 along 3rd Avenue, Prospect, and Pine Street. This project also includes the removal of the traffic signal at Pine and 3rd for a raised intersection and a 4-way stop, as well as driver feedback speed signs at 4th and Central, 4th and Jeffrey, 3rd and Central, and 3rd and Ridge. We are currently waiting for NJDOT's approval to move forward with this project. Changing from roundabouts to raised intersections was a large scope change that we were not approved for the grant originally. So we have to have their approval that's still in the spirit of the grant to move forward. So we're just waiting for their approval to move forward with the grant and start, hopefully, have another public meeting in the spring or maybe winter if it happens soon enough. We also received a grant for a Safe Routes to Transit grant, which we'll be using to update the Prospect and Bangs Avenue traffic signal and intersection. This is a close intersection to the train station and bus station, and as well as the school itself, elementary school, or middle school, sorry. We currently have one traffic signal spanning the intersection with no PED signals, and we did upgrade the crosswalks, but not full ADA compliance. So this grant will allow us to upgrade the signal with pedestrians as well as traffic, vehicle signals, as well as ADA ramps and some limited milling, paving, and striping, as it was recently milled and paved. Currently, we've passed our surveys, and we are moving to design phase right now with T&M Engineering. But we'll have some more on that in the future. We have 2 grants that are going to start construction on Memorial Drive this year, upcoming year, I should say. First, the sanitary sewer replacement between the Neptune border and Monroe Avenue. So that'll be just replacing the sanitary sewer and repaving over it. And the other is the reconstruction of Memorial Drive from 6th Avenue to Asbury Avenue. This will include the replacement of sanitary sewer as well as the drainage, a new full mill and pave, new striping, 2 new traffic signals. There will be new traffic signals at 3rd Avenue and 4th Avenue along Memorial Drive to manage traffic and pedestrian crossings. As well as a new traffic pattern, it will have 2 12-foot travel lanes, a 9-foot parking lane, and 2 6-foot bicycle lanes on either side, buffered with some striping. This will hopefully give pedestrians and cyclists a way to get around on Memorial Avenue, where right now it's kind of a barrier to crossing, as well as provide safety for vehicles and slow them down a little bit with some tighter lanes and some signals. We have another grant. We just consolidated. We have technically this is 2 grants that we consolidated. So we have grants for reconstruction of 8th Avenue and for the reconstruction of Monroe Avenue and Comstock Street. Monroe Avenue from Prospect to Memorial and Comstock from Prospect to Asbury Avenue. These were grants that we received in fiscal year 21 and 22, the last 2 years. We are going ahead with design phase right now, and we plan to do a full reconstruction, sanitary sewer, drainage, new milling and paving and striping. 8th Avenue will have bicycle lanes as well as parking. Monroe Avenue and Comstock will both receive sharrows as well for bicycle infrastructure. We have the TAP grant, Transportation Alternatives Program, which goes along with our Main Street reconstruction that was just completed. This is to include street trees, bicycle racks, and benches that might have been removed during the construction. So this is currently, we passed our preliminary engineering phase. We had public meetings and input. We are going to have street trees and bicycle racks along the way of Main Street from the Neptune border to Deer Lake Drive, as well as a few benches along the parks, along Fireman Park and the other side there. I forgot what it's called. But this is now in front of DOT for their approval, and once we get their approval, we will go to final design. I think have one more public meeting, and then we'll move towards our construction. We have a new bikeways grant. We are approved to build a 2-way bicycle track along Asbury Avenue from Main Street to Heck. This is a project that was outlined in our plan for biking and walking. It would create 2 11-foot travel lanes, as well as 2 7.5-foot parking lanes. And the 2-way bicycle track, each lane, which is 5 feet, will be buffered with 3 foot of paint, just to give some separation between the parking and the bicycle lane. This is something that we have not started yet. We are going to begin our discussions and get some proposals for engineering in the upcoming months. So we have some new initiatives that we're starting as well in the year coming. We just had a Asbury Avenue road safety audit. We partnered with Monmouth County, NJ DOT, and NJ Transit to review basically Asbury Avenue from Memorial Drive to Ridge Avenue. We had this audit last month, and there'll be a report coming out of it in the upcoming months. Basically, what a road safety audit does, it aims to answer the following questions, basically. What elements of the road may present a safety concern, to what extent, to which road users, and what opportunities exist to eliminate or mitigate identified safety concerns. So it will be basically a light plan for moving forward with upgrading Asbury Avenue for safety for all users. Hopefully we can turn that into a grant application in the future. There are some grants available, and maybe we can do some work on Asbury Avenue to make it safer, upgrade traffic signals, and all the good stuff there. We have our valet parking licenses. They were reported in, passed on or adopted on October 14, 2019, ordinance 2019-28, to allow or license valet parking within the city. Any business or commercial property that wants to use valet parking will have to pay a license fee as well as an application fee and submit to us insurance documents and plans for how they plan to use the space and where they plan to park vehicles, as well as pay us a small fee for spaces. That application will be coming out soon. A letter will be going out to businesses informing them, and we will get that moving in the next year. We are working to partner with Easy Ride, our transportation management association for the county, in their program called Ride for Life. We previously had this arrangement with them where we had grant money that we put down forward to allow free trips through this Ride for Life program. The Ride for Life program uses Uber and Lyft to give rides to those who wouldn't normally have access to a smartphone or access to technology. We saw about 112 trips total in 2018, 30 in 2019, and then 1,400 in 2020 when we opened the program up to more uses. We are looking to launch this program again and provide $15 for each ride, limiting trips within 5 miles of the city, mostly for medical trips, shopping, and things like that, and reaching certain aspects of the city. We'll make this program eligible to senior citizens, those that are disabled, and also economically challenged. As you are aware, we did partner with NJ Transit to start installing bus shelters. We got them to agree to install 10, a few along Asbury Avenue, Main Street, and Springwood Avenue. They are open to doing more, but they said start with 10. So we are hoping to begin installing these, constructing these in the spring and summer, and hopefully give us, more stable bus stops, more protection from the elements, and just prettier aesthetic for those bus stops rather than summer. We are investigating updating the beach pass kiosks. Currently, there are 6 what would be parking meters along the boardwalk that are used to purchase beach passes. As all our parking meters, they are aging and they require a lot of maintenance. And while they are mostly used on the weekends, there isn't always staff around to maintain them, and they are causing some issues. We are looking to upgrade them to newer software, newer equipment that will streamline the process, and basically these machines can now text you your beach pass and print it out. It kind of cuts out some of the steps, it allows you to do multiple transactions at once, and some other features that our current machines aren't able to do. So this is something we're looking at, possibly from the Beach Fund, Transportation Fund, funding these new meters for the beach. We've applied for a few grants this year. We applied to NJDOT Municipal Aid for the reconstruction of First Avenue between Memorial Drive and Central Avenue. This, similar to other projects, would be a mill and pave replacement of sanitary sewer as well as new striping. We also, for a Transit Village grant for bicycle racks along Springwood Avenue, Cookman Avenue, and Lake Avenue, as well as bicycle blockers at the Transportation Center. A grant for Transportation Alternative set-aside grant for a sidewalk along Deal Lake, the north side of the roadway, basically, from Heck up to Main Street, as well as a Bikes for All grant, which would allow us to put sharrows along Comstock Street from Asbury Avenue to Sunset. With the reconstruction of Comstock Street that we've already received, but the new sharrows going in will end at Asbury Avenue. This grant will allow us to continue that bicycle construction all the way to the high school and to the near the middle school as well. Or sorry, elementary school, rather. These are all grants that we applied for. We have not received responses yet about whether we've gotten them, but I want to make sure we knew what was being worked on. This year we partnered with Dynamic Engineering, a new engineering firm. We wanted them to look at some problems we have in the city, some things that we couldn't normally get to by ourselves. I have John McCormick right here of Dynamic Engineering. I was hoping that he could kind of go through 2 projects we were looking at right now. One being Grand Avenue, and the other being the intersection of Prospect, Monroe, and Church by the Boys and Girls Club. So John, if you could please give us a quick overview of your plan or what you looked at, methodology, and what you recommend for those 2 locations.
Sure thing. Thank you, James. Good evening, everyone. I'm sure you're all wondering, who is that guy sitting with James? Well, the question has been answered. My name is John McCormick. I'm a principal with Dynamic Traffic. Just a little CV on me. I've been practicing for 25 years, and our office is like 2 miles down the road in Belmont. James was handing me all kinds of things, throwing me off. I'm not going to spend a lot of time. He thought it would be a great idea for me to introduce myself, and you can see who is helping James with several of his transportation initiatives this year. You can tell by the amount of slides and how much James has put up so far. There's obviously a lot going on in the city with regard to transportation. I am, happy and helpful any way I can be to James and staff would be fantastic in the months coming. So these two projects were what we did the last couple of months. I think James gave you like a snippet, executive summary of it. This is the Grand Avenue report and plans, so it's significant in nature. You have the snapshot. I'll tell you that this was basically a corridor safety evaluation. We looked at vehicle speeds, driver opportunities to cross Grand Avenue and sightlines, bicycle safety, pedestrian safety. We evaluated all 12 intersections along Grand. 4 of them have traffic signals. 8 of them just have the standard two-way stop control. We looked at traffic volumes, pedestrian volumes. We looked at crash history. The crash history is interesting. I'll say that at those 12 intersections, there was 140 crashes in a period of 5 years. And a couple of those years had COVID, so traffic and things were down. So that's a fairly significant crash history, which is why it got to the top of James's list and found its way to my desk. This report does recommend changes to the traffic control. It recommends always stop at several intersections. It recommends upgrading the traffic signals that are out there to be more ADA compliant. You heard James say ADA compliance before. Some of the intersections warranted always stop because of vehicle traffic volumes. Some warranted it because of vehicle crashes. Others warranted it because of pedestrian activity. So this corridor really laid out well to have a rather significant change to the traffic control along the entire corridor. I think it's a fantastic improvement that you'll see in the next coming months or next year as we do the striping. If we can just go to the next. This is just a snapshot of the concept plan that we prepared. The plans have been advanced at least a couple of levels from that. But essentially it shows that this is a restriping project at first. It's just enhancing the striping that's out there, including like bike extensions through the intersections. And the one thing I want to point out on this is that we're including a bicycle buffer along the bike lane. Right now the bike lane is a simple 5-foot bike lane along the parking or between parking and travel. We see the opportunity to add a 2-foot buffer, and you can see that little buffer stripe there. Although it's only 2 feet, it is a significant improvement for bicycle safety. And again, it's just a simple narrowing, restriping, a little bit of the through lanes, and there's no change or elimination of any parking out there. The other, if you go to the next, I'll stay there.
Yeah,
so the other is a longer term improvement that looks to potentially construct bump outs. James mentioned bump outs before. They would be at those intersections. You see the crosshatch striping up by the stop lines. Some of those areas could be converted to bump outs. As James mentioned, they have a traffic calming effect not only for drivers, but really their improvement is in pedestrian visibility and the fact that they shorten the crosswalks and limit pedestrian exposure. So those are intersection treatments that have varying benefits, and I think we're going to see some more of that coming in the future. With that, let's go to the second project. A little bit simpler, more simpler project. It's a single intersection, but we did an overall intersection evaluation. Similar things we looked at: traffic volumes, sight lines, crash history, pedestrian activity. Currently, I want to just go to the cool pic. I like pictures better than words. Currently, there's a signal at this intersection, but there's, as you can see, unconventional geometry, strange alignment. There's a Church Street, or that apartment driveway is like a 5th leg coming off of this. So it's got awkward sight lines. It does have some crash history. There was 9 crashes in the last 5 years, so at least a couple of crashes every year at this intersection. We evaluated this intersection for multiple types of traffic control. The first was, should we maintain the traffic signal and improve it? The second is, should we get rid of the traffic signal and make it 2-way stop? Make Prospect stop or make Monroe stop. The third is, should we do all-way stop? And the fourth we even looked at, should we put a roundabout here? The recommendation, as you can see on the screen, is to put an all-way stop here. And I'll tell you that the signal seemed over-designed when you looked at what's happening out there. the two-way stop seemed under-designed when you look at the pedestrian activity, and the roundabout just didn't fit. So the all-way stop, we think, is perfect for the neighborhood traffic volumes that are out there. It removes the concern about some of the awkward sightlines, improves pedestrian safety, because as you see here, every driver approaches the intersection and then they have to stop. In addition to just stop signs, we're going to add, well, we're going to not add, but change the existing traffic signal to a beacon. Right now, there's a single arm and a single traffic signal head, red, yellow, green. We're going to change that head to an all-way red head. So it'll be an all-way beacon. It'll be up over the intersection. It's great as you convert these to all-way stop to have that extra level of notification to the drivers. And you can see just the signing and striping that would go with any intersection improvement. And then similarly, thank you, James, the next one. The phase 2 of this type of intersection improvement could be to construct a bump out. You see we're not planning bump outs at every corner, although bump outs and intersection improvement is included in that walking biking plan you have. We think a more focused improvement of a single bump out just could fix that one approach of Monroe that feels like it's kind of left behind and a little bit outside the intersection. So by putting that small bump there, we'll have ADA compliant ramps and sidewalks, and we'll be able to move that stop line up so that the drivers are a little bit closer to each other and can communicate that four-way stop a little bit better. So in all, the two very different plans that we looked at. The Grand Avenue corridor is a bigger plan. I think that's a tremendous improvement, changing the control. And then the intersection with Prospect, Monroe, and Church, a smaller project, but I think nonetheless, it'll bring this intersection back to the scale that it should be, with all-way stop and very good ped safety. And with that, my slides are done. I'll give it back to James for a few left, but just wanted to say hello and thank you, and hope to see you again next year.
Thank you, John. Just to clarify, we have, what I like about both these improvements is that the majority of it is paint and signage. Things that we can do relatively in-house for relatively inexpensive. Obviously, bump outs cost more, but that can always be a second phase to a project. These are things we're looking to implement possibly this year. We'll see how we can do it, how to do it quickly, and if it will be helpful. So we're hopeful it's helpful. So the last thing I have is some recommendations for ordinances from the parking committee. These are things that we're hoping to bring before you for approval in the upcoming meeting or two. So I just want to make sure you're aware of them now so we can start a conversation if necessary. First is new alternate side parking regulations along Prospect Avenue, Bond Street, Springwood, and Sunset Drive. A map will be a little more helpful. The light blue areas, which I'm now realizing probably wasn't the best color with the water, are the areas that would be added or recommended to be added to the alternate side map. This is the entire map of all alternate side street cleaning regulations. Prospect Avenue between, what's that, Washington and Monroe there. Springwood Avenue between Ridge and Main. Bond between Summerfield and Monroe. And then Sunset Drive between Sunset Avenue and Comstock. There was a recommendation we had a number of public members of the public comment and speak to the committee this year about commercial vehicle parking. There are some current concerns that businesses and people are parking their commercial vehicles on the street at night that are blocking people from parking outside their homes and things of that nature. And the committee felt that there might be a way to manage that by implementing a commercial vehicle permit. This is something that is also done in Long Branch. Basically, we stick with the same rules we currently have, which is that no vehicles over 6,000 pounds or over 19 feet in length are allowed on the street. But those that are for personal use or for personal business use, they get a vehicle commercial permit. This permit will be at only $25 and it will allow them to park in residential areas between 8 p.m. and 7 a.m. It's not allowed them to park in metered areas. It is simply allowed them to park within the city on the street. It'll hopefully manage the number of commercial vehicles that are out there and encourage the people to park them either in other places or in their driveways. Also, there is the concern of trailers. I guess we have a lot of trailers around the city that parked overnight or for a long period of time. It was a recommendation while trailers are needed for certain jobs and certain things, to not have trailers parked in the street overnight and make that prohibited. We've received a lot of requests to paint people's driveways. To explain, this would be like the 1 foot, 1.5 foot on the edge of their driveway entrance on either side. I guess it's common to have people park and block a driveway. Seeing that yellow kind of is a reminder of, I cannot park here. So a lot of residents like that on their driveways. The only thing is we have a lot of people asking for them, and some driveways are so large that it's not required. Some driveways are so small that it's almost necessary. So one thing I thought we could add, or the parking thought we could add, is a way for people to apply for this kind of treatment. If your driveway is, let's say, less than 10 feet or less than 12 feet, if you're in a busy parking area, maybe we can do the paint on the sides. It would just stop us from having to do every driveway, but doing the driveways that count would be our priority. And lastly, there's expansion of metered parking. We're seeing a lot of need for metered parking along 2nd Avenue from Bird to Grand, Park Avenue from Deal Lake to Sunset, Heck Street from 1st Avenue to 5th, 6th from Webb to Park, 7th from Webb to Park, and 8th from Webb to Park. This would basically move metered parking and limit it at east of Grand and east of Park Avenue. We've seen this year we moved metered parking out on 1st, 3rd, and 4th, and 2nd Avenue was not included, neither was Heck. And we realized there was a lot of issues where now 2nd Avenue and Heck Street became the place to park, and those residents had nowhere to go. They weren't eligible for a permit, and they had nowhere to go, and they were parking even far away from home. 6th, 7th, and 8th, we're seeing that they're becoming hotspots during the summer as well. Businesses are using them for parking, as well as a lot of visitors and residents are having a lot of hard time finding places to park. The idea is to expand metered parking and permit parking to allow these residents the opportunity to get permits and also to manage the use of the spaces by visitors and businesses. Basically, the map, the dark green spots are the areas that would be included in this ordinance. As you can see, it's on the north end. It's between east of Park Avenue and east from Webb to Park, 6th, 7th, and 8th, and 2nd Avenue and Heck from Grand to basically Webb there, Burke, sorry. The last thing we were considering and recommending is an increase in the parking fines for overtime metered parking. Currently, the fine is at $36. That is far less than you would have to pay to park a vehicle for a full day. And we are hearing that many people are parking and just taking the ticket because it is cheaper. While we have raised the metered parking rates a few times over the years, this has not been increased, and it should be increased to reflect the approximate cost of what it is to pay to park for a full day, which is about $50 or $60. As well as the permit-only designated parking. There are spaces that I said earlier that are designated for permit-only parking. Other visitors are parking those spaces and saying they'd rather take the ticket than pay for parking. And currently that's at a $50 rate. This would raise that to $90, which is what a resident pays for a parking permit for the year. So it's more in line with what the residents are paying, what everyone should be paying for metered parking and for permit permits. That is all I have. Thank you. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll happily explain anything I can or address anything I can after the meeting is necessary if I can get more information.
I just want to say thank you, James. I thought that was a really good, comprehensive report. I've gotten lost on the number of grants that we have. And the only thing I'm going to ask is if you could just keep Boys and Girls Club at the priority list because of the number of kids in and around that area. We could work on that as number one, or certainly as quickly as possible with the level of complaints we get in that area.
Sure, that's actually, from what John was saying, it's really just paint and signage, and that's something we can do mostly in-house. We'd have to wait for the weather to get a little warmer, but it's not a complicated project. And the bump out, we can examine it for the future installation if we feel it's necessary. So we can prioritize that area.
Great job, James.
I agree. Great job. I asked most of my questions. I forgot to ask one question. At the parking committee, I thought there was a request to make Sunset Drive one way. Did we?
So I wanted to there was a request to make Sunset Drive one way eastbound from Sunset Avenue to Comstock. I wanted to take traffic counts and parking counts before I made that recommendation or passed it along.
Okay, thank you.
I just think it needs a little more evaluation before it's decided. But yes, it is a fair recommendation. It is a narrow road, and as parking demand rises, with parking on both sides, you can't pass two vehicles on there. So it may be a recommendation that comes in the near future.
Okay, and again, great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
James, maybe I missed it. What are you doing with Washington Avenue? Because it's so narrow and there's always a lot of speeding going down there.
I don't have anything planned for Washington Avenue, but I can make it a priority. I know it is narrow, and it's a straight road right through to Neptune, so I can see it being a speeding issue. We are trying to address more speeding issues with traffic calming. There's only so much we can do to engineer roadways so you can't speed, so we're trying to find new solutions. If we can't always enforce, I want to make some obstacles for some realistic engineering efforts to make so that we can slow cars down. So that area, Monroe, and a few other roads in that area are definitely roadways that I'm considering for other traffic calming measures.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great job.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Do you want to start while they're setting?
Next up, we have a presentation by Sackman Enterprises LLC for a proposed redevelopment of 1012 Asbury Avenue, Block 501, Lots 1 and 2.
Okay, sure, yeah, that's fine. Hey, Donna, can you come here for 1 second? Yeah. Let me just check.
All right, I think that's a lot.
Okay, great.
Good.
Okay,
Can
so,
we wait a couple minutes?
oh, I'm sorry, I missed use of one, okay.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So quick. Go ahead.
So good evening, everybody. I'm going to give a quick introduction. I'm going to turn things over to the developer this evening. This is the agenda item, of course, for the 1012 Asbury Avenue property. My name is Beth McManus. I'm a planning consultant that works for the city of Asbury Park. And like I said, I'll just give a quick overview. This project, as you may have seen in the notice, is for a property referred to as 1012 Asbury Avenue. It's for land, and we'll have a better description from the developer in just a moment, but just very quickly, it's for land along Asbury Avenue between Comstock and Langford. The developer, or rather the council, has been asked to consider a redevelopment proposal for this property that would include a total of 100 units, of which 40 of those units would be affordable or available for folks with low and moderate income. And there are many other details of the project that we'll hear from the developer. The purpose of tonight's meeting is to simply hear about this proposal for the public and for the council, and to importantly give the public an opportunity to provide any input, ask any questions that you might have about the project. One thing that I think is important to know is that this evening, the council is not going to take any action on this project. This is just simply a public input session so that they can hear the public's thoughts about this and take that into consideration to determine how they'd like to move forward with this site. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to the redeveloper team. Thank you very much.
My name is Andrew Karras with the firm Fox Rothschild. I represent Sackman Enterprise with regard to this project. What we want to do is just go through a little bit about what the project is about, and we're going to call Jonathan Cortell to really go into the plan so visually we can see what it is that is being proposed. As indicated, the property is located at 1012 Asbury Avenue. It is 2 blocks away from Main Street, 1 block away from Memorial Drive. It's really the gateway to the downtown of Asbury Park. In turn, it is a very significant site as we approach the downtown of Asbury Park. Property is located between Comstock and Langford Streets. It's located also within currently the B redevelopment, or the B zone under the zoning code of Asbury Park. What is being proposed is a 4-story building with some penthouse pop-ups having 100 residential units. What is being proposed also is some live workspace on the first floor, the ground floor of the building, some community space, and also potential retail space down there. Now, what is also very significant about this project is that we are proposing 40% of affordable units within this project. 40%. We don't have a lot of that in Asbury Park. Under the existing code, most of what we have is 20%. This will double within this project, 40% of the affordable units. With that, I'm going to have one person testify. Ordinarily, I have an architect here to testify. He has the flu, so he couldn't make it tonight. So, on the safe side, we have Mr.
Andy, this is a presentation. No one needs to testify.
Well,
Okay?
I'm just used to
Just present.
providing
This is a very informal meeting.
I will present then, Mr.
There you go.
Cortell.
Thank
We'll go through plans, what we have up on.
Thank you.
John?
Thank you for the introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. I take this as a great opportunity to contribute to the landscape here in Asbury. I welcome the chance to add to all that is good here and to celebrate the city for its diversity. And one way to achieve that is through a mixed income execution like the one that Carter and I present to you tonight. The first slide that I've shown on the screen is just an overhead locating the site relative to the nearby streets. Existing conditions. Part of the premise here is that a redevelopment of this lot would improve its use. Though its current use had utility in years past, it may not be an appropriate use of the gateway to this great community. Quite the opposite. It's an underutilized use. It is a use that has been contemplated for sale or termination. So this property had been marketed for a while. Ours is a suggestion that we can reposition this site positively and make it better represent this gateway condition. Another shot from the other vantage point. I think these are, in fact, almost too sunny, too positive depictions. Conditions may or may not resemble these for those of you who live here and love this town and drive by a lot. This is a site that has been auto repair and parking, effectively. The image on the next screen is to affect a site plan to show you how this might look when as if you were looking from the sky and you saw the plan, the building in sight. The layout is an extremely efficient parking layout. It's a 500-foot long site. The parking is sort of done in a direct shot, double loaded, and so we anticipate a ratio slightly more of approximately 1-to-1 parking. Depicted in the top of the page or top of the site are these boxes we're labeling as community facility. We want these to function as sort of live-work units. We want to be cognizant or recognize the impact of Amazon and COVID on retail generally. And so we want to suggest that this location may be conducive to some thoughtful approaches to street-level activation like a live-work. So the idea is that we would prioritize residents who are looking for opportunities to live and work in the same location. There might be a knockout condition, so people might live directly above those workspaces, so they can have the benefit of proximity. But we want these spaces to be flexible enough, so if there are third-party users who are in the community who may want to rent the space instead, great, we want to be able to accommodate that. If there's retail and we're wrong, or that Asbury is so awesome that people want to open retail regardless, we want to be able to accommodate that too. So there's a bit of flexibility anticipated here. We want this to be appropriate to the gateway condition I've said at the beginning, and the traffic patterns that are on Asbury. Ground floor residential may not be the best route for that location on Asbury. Nobody's going to be able to read the tables on the top, so I'll just summarize. This is a mixed bag of units that we're trying to be sort of inclusive, trying to make sure that the building accommodates demand from wherever it would come, just as we're doing on the non-residential components. This indication is there are a small number of studios, a small number of threes, and then sort of everything in between. Of significance, James and I did not talk ahead of time, but we contemplated bump outs to enhance the pedestrian safety on the street. I don't think is particularly pedestrian heavy. We set the building back and integrated green strips in order to echo the tree line corridor on Asbury to the west. We're trying to be thoughtful about loading and anticipating loading needs right out front, in front of the lobby entrance. Looks like I'm just going to the same page. Okay, yeah. All right, so bouncing a little bit, you've heard a bit of the, Andrew at the beginning of his presentation highlighted this 4-story building, added some sensitivity to the fact that it's long and in a context where there are some single-family structures. We've moderated the height, stayed at 4 stories. We've created articulation up and down it in order to break up the mass. One of the things this is intending to do is to show there's functionally a street's width between us and the buildings on the other side of the block. So we want to avoid too much imposition on those residents. We are cognizant of all the buildings next to us, so we're trying not to be adversely impactful. Here's a section that reveals again, so the 4 stories in height with the pop-up penthouse that Andrew described, and then these measures, that one's indicating effectively a 78-foot gap between the back of our building and the articulated edge, and one of the residences on the block behind. The goal here is to create a building that is a dynamic one, that is, revealing of the great spirit of Asbury, that celebrates its association with the arts. We've talked a little bit about engaging with the Arts Council to make sure that any mural included would be the product of somebody local. The bump outs are included up front in the image in the foreground. We've done this bump out thing in other markets and do agree that it is an effective way of making pedestrian a celebrated part of the project. And with quality materials and the like, we think this is a what a great way to welcome folks to Asbury coming from the west. Some of the inspiration were the murals depicted on this page, some of which have been, drawn. We took some inspiration from locally, but also from non-local sources. I hope my presentation is equal to what I promised. I think this is a proposal worthy of the city, and we hope that the mixed income execution is responsive to what may be a priority, but also a part of Asbury. The mixed income is a part of who the city is, what the city is, and we just want to extend it. With that, I'll stop.
That is our presentation. I think it's a very exciting presentation. I think the design is very Asbury in terms of just the articulation of the building, the slide that's included, and obviously the affordable component that comes with it, I think is very important for Asbury Park to provide 40 affordable units within this building. And that concludes our presentation. I think it's a beautiful project, and I think, again, it would be worthy of Asbury Park to be able to build this project.
Thank you very much. Beth, do you want to wrap it up, or do you want me to? You go ahead.
Okay, I'll just do a quick wrap up,
Okay.
because I think what we'd like to do, unless the council wants to correct me, is hear from the public. I already saw one hand go up. We have a microphone in the back, and I'm gonna ask folks to provide any comments or any questions directed to the developer. I think we have a standard time of 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
For
I'm
public comment.
going to take a motion to open up the meeting for public comment on the presentation.
Second.
Right,
All in
this
favor?
project was what we talked about months ago. Anybody within 200 feet was notified about this project, so they could be here tonight. No action is going to be taken, but we wanted the residents in the area to be aware of it and what's going to happen. So if you want to get up and ask a question, the microphone's open.
Just about this project.
Are we just taking
What?
questions about this?
Just about this project, this isn't
Yeah,
public
we're just taking
comment. Questions about this project, only the regular
Right.
public session will
Right.
be later.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
your name and address, please.
What, in retrospect to the
Your name
project,
and-
are there
your
gonna
name-
be rentals?
Your name and
Sir.
address, I'm sorry.
My name and address, Peter Plants, 4 Pine Tree Lane, Manalapan, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Are there gonna be rentals in this development?
Yes.
Are they gonna be subject to rent leveling, like they do with the multifamilies?
Now, any new building that you have that is less than 30 years old is exempt from the rent leveling ordinance that was enacted. Keeping in mind, though, these are going to be 40% affordable units.
That's, okay, that's kind of not answering the questions.
Now, unless the building's at least 30 years old, it's not subject to the rental ordinance.
You tell me if the building's 30 years or older, it's subject to rent leveling?
That's under state statute.
Yeah, that's state law.
Okay.
Okay.
I want to be aware of things.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Hello there.
My name is David Moen. I live at 1027 Sewell. I also own 1027 and a half Sewell. I've been there for 16 years, and so the question is the parking going to be in the back of the building?
Integral into it.
But it's going to be in the back of the building, or?
It's within the.
Oh, it's inside the building?
Inside the
So there's no outside parking?
No, only on street where there isn't currently street lighting.
And so from my property line to the building, approximately how far is that going to be?
So you said 78 feet.
8 feet.
Yeah, we're just going to show you the ground floor where the parking is within the building.
But it's interior?
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
It's
all right.
Within the both of the building.
What?
It's within the building.
Right. So, but from the building to my property line?
I can't say where your property is.
Well, it's 100 feet on both sides.
Yeah.
I thought you
Oh,
said,
you're one of these units?
Yeah,
right?
I'm one of those
I thought you
houses
said
right in the middle.
78 feet. No?
To the property line.
From
To
the property
I think
line
we're
to the
showing
back of the building.
This is the
It's 8.
first floor structure is 10 feet from the property line. So,
Which, it's 10 feet?
yeah.
And what's gonna be back there?
Landscape.
Landscaping. And as far as fencing, has that been considered?
We have
For the planning
begun
board.
that,
Okay, all right. Because 10 feet is pretty close, isn't it?
Well, I just want to say, we have 10 feet landscaping to the face of the parking structure. And then you go up one level and it sets back again. It staggers anywhere from another 8 to 12 feet on the second level.
On the second level, okay.
Yeah.
So there's this section of the property, so you have the 10 feet that goes from the property line to that first
Yeah,
level.
I see.
And then it steps back another 10 feet. So
Okay.
you have a total of 20 feet from the property line to
The second story.
Not correct.
And on the first story, it's gonna be, is it gonna be like pavement with doors coming out from the back? Or is it gonna be, you know, a solid wall?
Are you referring to this wall?
Yes.
It would probably be a green screen, so there will be popped holes in it with fencing over it, and green will go up it.
On the building?
Yes.
Okay. And then also the fence at the property line? Okay, all right.
Thank you.
I just want to, just one quick question and then a comment. Jonathan, do you plan for any activity behind the building between your proposed building and the residences?
None is contemplated.
So that would just it's currently proposed just as green setback?
Yes.
Okay. And then the other comment I wanted to make is just a reminder for the process. If the council decides to proceed with this project, there would be multiple other opportunities for public input. So first, we would be presumably adopting a redevelopment plan, and that would be done via city ordinance, and that would require a public hearing, so that's another opportunity for public input. And then in addition to that, when the developer sought local approvals to construct the building, they would be required to go before the planning board for another public input or public hearing where there's additional public input and questions and really the opportunity to get into the details of site design and architectural design. So just a quick note to remind folks that if the council proceeds, this will certainly not be your last opportunity to make your voices heard and ask questions.
Sir, when you mentioned the fence, in terms of the design of the fence and the height, that can all be addressed before planning.
I'm just going to mention one thing, and then correct me if I'm wrong, but this preliminary kind of blessing on the plan is a result of trying to get public input at the very beginning as a result of another plan on Memorial Ave. So we're noticing whether we're required to notice you or not within 200 feet, providing your first of what will be 3 opportunities to comment on a project. And this is a result of feedback that we got regarding a redevelopment area on Memorial Ave. So to the best of my knowledge, we're going to try to do this for every redevelopment area moving forward so we can grab the feedback early on before the redevelopment plan starts and the planning board starts. So also, I'm going to say I love this, Carter, which I really do. I'm shocked to say I think this is going to be great.
By the way, the process to have the public to notice, I think, is one of the concerns that you bring up in terms of the fencing and all. And that then, when we go at the details of the design of the building, the design of the property, we can then
Can I ask one quick question? Do you know how many live workspaces that you're planning?
I think the current plans show 10 units. When asked previously about this, I responded to a member of the public here that it may be, as we get closer, we decide that we want more variability. And so we combine a couple of them, so some of them are bigger than others. I think we right now have just picked blindly 10 units on the ground floor that will tie into the units above.
I think a lot's going to have to do with demand, because it may be that you have a number of artists that are living there want to share some artist space within the building, or community artist space within there. And they altered a little bit by dedicating more space to that.
The key is we want to be flexible with the new facilities and to offer the market.
Yeah, I think that makes perfect sense.
others have tried this concept. I think people talk about this. I think the question is to set it up for success. And I think we want to be cautious and realistic in that approach.
You can just go to the microphone, give your name and address, and shoot away.
Good evening. My name is Tony Mendez. I own 1023 Sewell, right behind this project. And I just wanted to, Mr. Mugen asked all my questions and they were answered, so I just wanted to note that I know you said that you hadn't given much thought to the back of the project just yet, but it is important for all of us that have properties on that line, so.
No, I think we've approached this with an eye to be sensitive to the neighbors behind, so not knowing who you were, and we appreciate your standing up and identifying so we can maintain a dialogue as we go forward. I think we know to be sensitive, and I'm glad we were talking about the fence, because I don't know what the right fence treatment is. You guys may have very strong feelings about it, and so maybe we address that in, offline context.
Anybody else like to be heard on this?
Hi, good evening. Eric Gallipo, 908 Fifth Avenue. First of all, thank you, City Council, for bringing this project before us. Thank you, Mr. Sackman, for presenting something that has such a high percentage of affordable housing. I think it's a wonderful way of making sure that we are getting the housing that we so desperately need within our community. I would encourage you to think more creatively about the facade facing the building, particularly materials and colors that are more contemporary in nature. We shouldn't, not everything should be brown and gray. And I appreciate that you will put a mural or some art on the project. That's also wonderful, but I would really encourage you to sort of push your architecture into a more, exciting palette. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? If not, we're going to close this and go to the regular meeting.
Motion.
Move to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, thank you.
We're now on to matters from City Council. Councilmember Chapman?
Wait a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, we love it, but take it outside.
Thank you. Councilmember Chapman?
So I just want everyone to know that we have some vacancies on the city's boards and commissions. The list of commissions and boards is on our city's website. Most of them meet once a month. We love to have our residents volunteer and be engaged, so take a look at that list, see if there's anything you're interested in, and please come and volunteer. I also wanted to mention that the Asbury Park Arts Council will be hosting a drop-in session on Tuesday, December 13th from 5 to 8 at Blackbird Community Commons to unveil some of the feedback that they've received in their surveys and their studies while putting together an Asbury Park Arts and Culture Plan. So please drop by, offer your feedback, and listen to what everyone else is saying. That's it.
Thank you. Councilmember Clayton?
Yes. I just wanted to invite anyone who has previously been incarcerated and is looking to have their record cleared on December 17th at 11 a.m. at the Launch Center. It's 1201 Springwood Avenue. We will be doing expungements, and if you previously tried and weren't successful, please come out because so many things have changed. Laws have changed. The cost of expungement is now free. There's no cost involved, and we will have pro bono attorneys on hand, and it's also all done on computers now. So there's no mail, there's no expense. If you need us, please come out. Again, it's Saturday, December 17th, from 11 a.m. to 4, and the address is 1201 Springwood Avenue. And if there are any questions, you can call me directly. Thank you.
Thank
What's
you.
your number?
732-710-6415.
Thank you. Councilmember Kendall.
Yes, I try not to take too much of your time. 8 years ago, when I first took over, walked up on the stage, Dr. Shaniski gave each one of us roses. I don't know if you remember that. So I thought it was only appropriate, being that this would be next to my last time up here, to share something, just a little bit of something. I ordered a lot of flowers, but they came in yellow, so I had to run around and get something to give you. So just because of my appreciation and the love I have for you guys, and so I'm gonna start down there.
Okay.
Fred?
I'll give, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jesse.
I'm sorry the flowers was a different color. Amy, love you. Did you get yours?
Thank you, Jesse.
Yours, okay.
I can't even see it, but.
Thank you, Jesse.
Excuse me, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
And I just want to say I learned a lot. It was a learning experience. It was a good experience. So I have no problems. Here you go, lady. Thank you.
Thank you.
Love you guys.
Thanks, Jesse.
All right. I think I got everybody.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you, Jesse.
Hey, sorry to rain the roses. Okay, thank you, man. Of course.
Kiss you outside.
See the kisses for the lady, your wife. Okay, I'm sorry. That's it. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention two things. Kwanzaa celebration is Saturday at 2:00, tree lighting at 5.
Yep.
And I wanna just give credit to Alicia and Cassandra, who are doing a free Asbury Park meal kit on Saturday, September 17th from 9 to 12 at City Hall. So you'll be picking up free food for anyone who needs it. I don't know how many of you guys have done this year, but always appreciative when you do them. We always get a great crowd, so thank you guys.
Thank you. Mayor Moore.
Everything's already been said, except Jesse, again, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Jesse.
Thank you. Matters from the city manager.
I have nothing, Lisa.
Thank you. Matters from the city attorney.
Nothing other than to thank you, Jesse, once again. That's such a lovely gesture, and it's been such an honor and a pleasure to work with you.
It's from my heart, thank you.
We are now on to public participation. May I have a motion to open the meeting to the public?
Move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public participation portion is now open. Any member of the public who wishes to speak, please use the microphone, and you're going to state your name and address for the record. There will be a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. Again, your name and address. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Darlene Gilliam. I'm here on behalf of my mother, Julia Akul. She's 85 years old, and she's experiencing some dementia. 3 weeks ago on a Sunday at 3 a.m. in the morning, first aid was called to come get my mother. And I did not know my mother was removed from the house until 8:30 that morning when the hospital called me, and my mother has an alert on her wrist. I called first aid to find out who removed my mom. Nobody called me to let me know, because after tonight, I want to release that pain, because I feel that my mother is a lifelong resident of Asbury Park for 85 years, a retired school teacher for the district. And I can't understand how you can take my mother and not look on her wrist and call me because my number's on that wrist. And they say they don't do that. They take the patient out the home and straight to the hospital. I said, so I didn't know my mom was not at home. I didn't know till the hospital they didn't do the same thing until 8:30 that morning when it was time to discharge her. And I said, well, I didn't know my mom wasn't home in the bed. And so the first aid said, they don't look for phone numbers. I got on my mother, Maria, do not resuscitate her. So that means the doctor said put it on the mirror or the refrigerator. So these notes around the house to protect my mom, first aid will not be looking at. So I'm trying to figure out how will I protect my mother in case of emergency if first aid come, if they're not going to call nobody for a senior citizen who can't remember numbers or remember anything, but the alert is on her wrist. And I'm very, tonight I want to release that pain from being hurt because I trusted first aid and my mom from being here all her life, and now she got to go through this. I got to figure out what I'm going to do in case of emergency. I need to find a plan if first aid is not going to call me and let me know that my mother, accident, because I don't know how she even dialed 911, so a memory came back from somewhere. So I don't know. I just wanted to bring that. How are we going to help the seniors who might be home alone and the family member don't know that they're not home in their bed, and first aid is not going to call you? If they got 3 people that come out to remove her, one is not going to say, well, let's see, does she have a family member? She's home alone. None of that took place. So I just need to know what could be done. Is there another step that's missing for the first aid, to call parents or call the children? Or what do I supposed to do?
Okay, number one, thank you very much. I apologize. I know your mom. I've known your mom for decades, and I know your family, Artie Thompson, and your mom always used to bust my. Yeah, Anthony never comes over, so he probably still doesn't visit. Donna, you're going to have to answer this. What can we do?
Yeah, so I'm going to have Chief Ketty give you a call tomorrow, if you can just give me your phone number. I'm not sure what the protocol is, but I'll have Chief Ketty call you, and if there's something we need to fix in the city, we'll absolutely fix it.
I received the call already because I called them to discuss it. They said there's nothing they can do.
Okay, well, I'm going to have Chief Ketty call you. Is Chief Ketty the one that spoke to you? Yeah.
It's a male. I wish
Okay.
I could remember the name.
So our chief, our fire chief, Chief Ketty, he's the man in charge of the fire and EMS. He will give you a call tomorrow.
Okay.
If you can just come up real quick and give me your phone number, though.
Okay?
Right?
Yep, you're ready. Rita.
Okay. Rita Morano, 504 8th Avenue, Asbury Park. I wanted to ask, well, my question is with Fred, I guess. I don't know if Fred has any answers tonight, but the other thing I wanted to talk about is the sign ordinance. We have 2 huge signs in Sunset Park. Now, the last time I read the ordinance, it said no signs in Asbury Park. One sign says, if these walls could talk. What does that mean? I mean, why do we have such ridiculous things up? And the other sign is for a women something. I couldn't read it good. But we're not supposed to have signs in the park. And I know that somebody asked from the council to put those signs there. You are you're putting pretty much pressure on every employee in this city because you're asking them for the most ridiculous things. But one of them is the no-roof building where they get COs. Nobody else could do that. So how do you give COs? So I know the employees have to be put under a lot of pressure. They like their jobs. They make good money. They get good benefits. They don't want to lose them. So I don't think this council should be putting pressure on them. The signs in the park, the building with no roof. I mean, it's not right. They're working here, and I know how they feel because I had my job here for 10 years. Too much pressure from the council. You shouldn't be doing your little pet projects with city employees. Now, I don't know about the signs in the park. I know they're not legal because you're not supposed to put a sign in the park. So how is this working out? I mean, are you too much involved with yourselves that you can't see past that we, the people, still exist? I don't think you do anything for we, the people. I think you do it for your own little pet projects. We have a snowflake. They're all white except for one. Really? That's the way it goes? That had to be pressure put on somebody to put it up. I mean, you can't keep doing this.
Okay, Rita, your time's up.
I know.
Okay. But I don't think there's signs in the park. I think they're big pieces of art that may have a little couple words underneath them. So to me, they're not signs. So that's my personal opinion. And as far as putting pressure on city employees, I mean, it was like get a front end loader and put it in there. That was like 6 months ago and they haven't moved. So it's not like they're moving them around all the time. And like, you know, I'm not as much into art as some other people, but I drive by them and I kind of like them. So if there were billboards saying, you know, vote for more or something like that, an actual sign, I'd say I agree with you 100%. But they're pieces of art that just have a couple words at the bottom. That's my personal opinion.
And really regarding the turf club, I resent the implication that I put pressure on anyone to do anything.
I read the
What we did
emails.
was we went to a structural engineer after using our architect who decided the building was structurally sound. Once we did that, then we went to the city and said, can we get a temporary CO? And this is what we're going to be doing. Not anyone puts pressure on anyone to do anything. They
Well,
could have said no, and your implication is completely out of order.
Really?
Okay, there's going to be no back and forth. You asked your questions, they've been answered, so.
Well, in 52 municipalities, nobody has a building with no roof.
Okay, Rita, your time's up, thank you.
All right, am I going to hear from Fred?
You didn't ask him anything.
Well, I had the opportunity to speak to Rita offline since the last council meeting, and I've also looked into the issues. There's an Oprah issue that's pending that I spoke to the clerk's office about, that they're working on with the Oprah attorney, and then there's also the zoning, the question about the shrubbery that's on the neighbor's property, and I looked up the Shade Tree Commission ordinance a bit further and the state statute regarding shade tree, and I'll be happy to provide some further guidance. So I can contact Rita again, offline.
Well, okay, shoot us all an email too what the answer was. I mean,
Sure.
Does zoning have to go to shade tree?
There is a provision, both in state statute and municipal ordinance, that the Shade Tree Commission, state statute has both environmental commission and a shade tree commission. Asbury has them together, combined. The statutes about environmental commission are advisory only, and that's what we were discussing at the last council meeting. Shade tree has more powers by statute and in our ordinance that provides the authority for full and exclusive control over the regulation, planting, trimming, and whatnot of trees and shrubbery in the municipal right-of-way. So these trees or shrubs are apparently in the right-of-way, and there will need to be some involvement with the Shade Tree Commission, and I'm happy to do what I can to help facilitate.
Okay, thank you.
So you're going to take care of it, right?
I'll be in touch with you and
All right.
help you try to move that forward.
By the way, did anybody pay for the artwork in the park?
John Hall, 831 Central Ave. Two quick questions. One being in regard to Second Avenue. I saw it was line striped this past summer, but it also wasn't paved like Central Ave and some other streets. Is there a reason why it was line striped without being paved first, and why we're potentially wasting some money there? Also, second quick question, because I only have 3 minutes. As far as wooden pallets, general question, I'm not sure who could answer it, but are wooden pallets not allowed on residential properties at all?
Are wooden pallets not, what?
Are wooden pallets not allowed on residential properties at all per city ordinance?
I have no idea. It's the first one on me.
When you say wooden pallets, are they there for construction purposes or are they there for like art?
Art.
I don't believe that's an approved use. If there's an issue, I would just suggest that you call the zoning department and provide the address that you're concerned about, and they'll take a ride out there and look at it.
So I actually tried speaking to code on multiple occasions. I had spoken to one IC and then another supervisor, was given contradictory statements, and
Did you call the zoning department?
no, but I definitely will do that.
Yeah,
if that's
call the
case.
zoning department. That would be a zoning issue.
Thank you. And then
Thank
if anybody knows about Second Avenue and line striping.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
James. I didn't
James.
quite understand your question, but go ahead,
Yeah.
James.
His concern was that Second Avenue was striped this year, but it wasn't milled and paved.
Oh,
So we have a list, basically, we grade all our roads in the city, we prioritize which ones to get paved next. Paving takes a lot of money, we have to chase grants for that money. We had a series of bad accidents on Second Avenue, and we felt that taking the hit and paying to stripe it now would solve some of the issues with speeding and striping, accidents, and we can move towards paving in the future. So you're right, it wasn't ideal, but it was a safety concern that we think we could address cheaper now than waiting and hoping more accidents didn't happen.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to be heard?
Yes, sir. My name is Shoaib. I'm representing a cab company here in Asbury Park.
Your address?
Located at 1003 Main Street.
Say it again.
1015 Main Street?
Sorry.
Your name and address?
Your name and address, please.
Oh, yes, I'm telling you. My name is Shoaib. I'm representing cab company here in Asbury Park, Surf Taxi,
What's your address?
1003 Main Street.
Thank you.
And I submit the return request also. I'm talking about the rate card in Asbury Park. We are $5 within Asbury Park, and we want to request you to increase to $6. And that's all I want to request it, because this $5 rate card we have lost like 12 years. So other everything is go high, prices of the gas, prices of the grocery, everything. So that's what we have a concern tonight. If you can consider it, and
Yes, we got your email, your letter and everything, and we're already looking into it. And don't sell yourself too short saying we'll only take 6. We're getting information from other towns. I know Red Bank just increased theirs. You're right, Asbury Park has been increased in so many years. We're looking into it, but it's not something that's going to happen within the next 2 weeks. I mean, just because it's the end of the year, we're getting ready with mercantile licenses, we're doing everything else. I mean, there's no question that we're open-minded to it, probably going to say yes to it, but let's just sit down and get the right numbers. So and if you guys want to do any homework and give us what you find out from other towns, but I know Lisa, the city clerk, has already started getting numbers from other towns, so we can, when we sit down, we can come up with the right number. But yes, we're open to an increase.
right. Well, if I understand the right, we are talking about only Asbury Park price sheet, not the other towns one.
Right, but, okay, if you want us just to say 5 to 6 and we may go to 7, let's do the homework and do it right.
Sorry, what you said?
I said, let's do the homework and get you the right number.
$6, that's what we wanted only. $5 to $6 within Asbury Park. And I submit the written request also with you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, it might be shared.
We're still going to research it. So
Okay.
yes, we're open to it, and I hope you're not selling yourself short when you should be getting 7 or 8. We're going to give you 6, because that's all you're asking for. So, but we'll do the right thing, and we'll get you the right numbers, but it's not going to happen, in the next 2 weeks or 4 weeks, but it will definitely happen, hopefully by the end of January.
Okay.
But
Thanks.
no, appreciate the letter, and it hasn't been raised in how many years? Okay.
Good evening, Council. My name is Arshad Malik, and I'm a resident of 49 Stonehenge Drive, Ocean Township, and we also belong to the taxi business over here. And I just want to bring your guys' attention, during the COVID, we transport all our citizens, we don't care about our life, and we try our best to give the service to citizens of Asbury Park. And we have the same issue regarding the increasing, we're requesting only $1, and there used to be gallon milk $2, now we're paying $5. And dozen egg, it used to be $1.99, we're paying $5. Everything's went up except only our price in Asbury Park. And also, we have concern about the e-scooter. Now we're talking about e-buses. E-scooter concern only summertime. A group of kids, they take the scooter and they're running around. They cut the front of the car. If it cause any accident or something, the city going to be problem. And they had to do something about the group of kids, summertime especially. They're racing each other, they're cutting each other, they're cutting the front of the car, so maybe cause the accident. And also, the e-scooter has to be time limit. During the maybe daytime is no problem. Nighttime, maybe somebody get off the bar and he's drunk and take the scooter and he broke his ankle or something, then the city is in trouble. So has to be time limit during the daytime, not the nighttime scooter. And also easy, we've been taxi business almost maybe 30, 40 years here, and nobody engage taxi, company from the city. They should engage us also, what's going on in Asbury Park, and we can give it more service to you guys offering is easy bus or is something else. The guy, he say $15 per 5-mile area, maybe we can provide that service. So I just want to bring your attention, Mr. Mayor. So, we have more than 100 family depend on, this business. So that is our bread and butter. And we're losing the business. And we feel like maybe they have planning to kick out the, taxi business, and they have always other options, but we're really concerned about that. So we just, we want to give the service to the citizens of Asbury Park, but we want fair treatment with the, cab driver also.
No problem. And as I said, we're willing to work together with you. What I would suggest is, how many taxi cab companies are there in Asbury Park? 2? Rita's knows.
I just want to say.
No, your time's done. Okay, I would suggest you guys form a committee of 2 or 3 people, and I'll meet with you whenever you want to meet, and so we can discuss all these issues. I mean, we just got your letter last week, and we're already saying, yes, we're open for this. So it's not a hard sell. But, I mean, form a committee of 2 or 3 cab drivers. I mean, there used to be presidents. I mean, I guess there's still presidents of your companies.
Commission.
So whoever wants to meet, give me a time and a date. I'll give you my card. You can call me and we'll meet and we'll start the discussion and we'll get this going. And I don't think anybody up here is going to say no to a reasonable raise. So we're all on the same page.
Okay, I really appreciate, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and again, but the best thing you can do is form a committee, both companies, So nobody's fighting with each other and everything, and we'll sit down, we'll talk, and we'll hash this out and figure it out.
Okay, thank you, sir.
No, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Peter Plants, 4 Pine Tree Lane, Manalapan, New Jersey. Basically, I'm talking about the rent leveling. About 15 years ago, my family and I, we invested in Asbury Park. Now the Renaissance is here, and I believe that you're punishing the multi-family owners. New Jersey, just want to give you some stats. New Jersey's one of the top 5 richest states in the United States. Okay, I mean, we know the cost of living has gone up. Electric rates, the price of water, we are the 5th number, we are ranked number 5 in the nation for water. Food prices, everybody knows the food prices have gone up. I mean, think about it. Asbury Park they want an 80% increase in fines for the parking. That's great. They want to only give me 3.5%. It can't be done. It's just not feasible. I bought a water heater for my house. Years ago, it was $700, $800. I paid $1,450. That's not even installed. So if I have a multi-family house, how am I surviving? I have no idea. I had to raise my insurance just to have a replacement value in the house. So 3.5% is not cutting it here. Social Security went up in 2 years, almost 15%. Okay? Landlords are barely hanging on with our maintenance fees. Get a maintenance guy. A handyman costs you $400 a day. So I don't know where this 3.5% came from. I don't know. I'm not sure that you realize the exodus from New Jersey. You're chasing people away from this state, and they're going to leave. Who knows? I might be one of them. What is my incentive to invest in a multi-family house? I mean, I spent hundreds of thousands of dollars with my family, and now you're telling me I can only raise my tenants 3.5%. That is ludicrous, at least in my opinion. Can someone explain that to me? Okay, we are the victims here. We're just raising it to try to compensate the cost of living. Okay, in closing, I need the board to reconsider this. I really do. 3.5% is not cutting it. I mean, we got sanctions on Russia, shortage of help, supply chains. I just you need to wake up with this position. You really do. It's I don't know, maybe put a moratorium on it for a little while. I need help. I really do, because if you want me to maintain my apartments to the minimum, I need a little income. Thank you for your time. Look at that, perfect, huh?
Thank you, and I would suggest you get in touch with Mr. Goodman, who's in charge of it, and there's an appeal process, and to this date, not one landlord has appealed to get a rate increase. You can go before the board and ask for more than 3.5%. Have you done that? No. Has anybody in Asbury Park done that? No. So, I mean, everybody's asking us, like, do this, do that, but there's not been one case before the rent leveling board where a landlord like yourself has come and said,
Talk to you, I don't know, but 3.5% isn't helpful.
call Mr. Goodman and he'll explain the process to you.
And I can get a number for him?
Yes.
It's on the website under our rent leveling, and it has the forms that you can appeal with. Just go to our website, cityofasburypark.com, and look for rent leveling.
Goodwin, you said?
Goodman.
Goodman.
Yeah, but you just go right to the rent leveling page, and all the documents you need to appeal are there, but Mr. Goodman can also help you walk you through the process.
But is this carved in stone? 3.5%?
So we can't have it back and forth, but if you want to call Mr. Goodman, you can also call myself. I'll give you my card.
Thank you.
For the time being, yes. That doesn't mean we can't change it. When it was adopted, we weren't in a recession. The index was not as it was now. But again, I'm not picking on you, but landlords are complaining, but yet nobody's filed one appeal yet to the rent level board. Okay, so but definitely look into it. We'll see what we can do to help you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
And have a good holiday, everyone.
Thank you. You too.
Anybody else like to be heard? Motion to close?
Move to close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are now on to the minutes. I have the executive meeting minutes and regular meeting minutes of the November 22nd, 2022 meeting. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn. Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Thank you. Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We're now on to individual resolutions. Resolution 2022-473, a resolution approving payment of bills. POs number 22-03291 and 22-03292 will be removed from the agenda. Do I have a motion?
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
No.
Resolution 2022-474, a resolution approving special events.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2022-475, a resolution authorizing a contract for the disposal of leaves during the fall season.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2022-476, a resolution awarding of a contract to Millennium Communications Group for camera support and service.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2022-477, a resolution amending a contract with Jetback Equipment for the repairs to the sewer plant truck.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2022-478, a resolution authorizing the replacement of 2 chimney stacks at the sewer plant.
Move it.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2022-479, a resolution authorizing the purchase and installation of new flooring at the boxing gym.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2022-480, a resolution authorizing the purchase of ammunition for the police department.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2022-481, resolution approving change order number 4 for the RBC West Channel improvements at the wastewater treatment plant.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2022-482, a resolution approving change order number 6 for Bond Street Improvements Project.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Resolution 2022-483, a resolution amending Resolution 2022-394, allowing the City of Asbury Park to enter into an agreement with NJ Transit for a total of 10 bus shelters to be installed at bus stops within the city.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We are now on to ordinances. Ordinances for introduction. I have ordinance 2022-15, bond ordinance providing for beach utility improvements by and in the city of Asbury Park in the county of Monmouth, the state of New Jersey, the city, appropriating $1,346,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,346,000 bonds or notes of the city to finance part of the cost thereof with a public hearing date of December 21st, 2022.
Move it.
Second.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Ordinance 2022-16, bond ordinance providing for various 2022 capital improvements by and in the city of Asbury Park in the county of Monmouth, the state of New Jersey, appropriating $1,641,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,562,855 bonds or notes of the city to finance part of the cost thereof with a public hearing date of December 21st, 2022.
Move it. Second.
Councilmember Chapman.
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton.
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn.
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
We are now on to second reading, public hearing of ordinances. I have ordinance 2022-14, ordinance authorizing the city of Asbury Park to convey an easement to permit a limited encroachment into the right-of-way area adjacent to First Avenue and Pine Street relating to an existing retaining wall located at 1201 First Avenue, Block 1705, Lot 14, Asbury Park, New Jersey. Do you want an overview of this ordinance before?
Yeah, Fred.
Yes, this ordinance will authorize the city to grant an easement relating to the property located at 1201 First Avenue. It's at the corner of First Avenue and Pine Street, and there are existing retaining walls that are along both of the streets. And the walls were built many years ago. The property owner rebuilt one of them in the same location that the wall previously was in existence, and has approached the city because it was determined that these walls are actually within the city right-of-way, seeking an easement to allow the walls to remain.
Thank you. May I have a motion to open up the meeting to the public hearing on ordinance 22-14?
Move to open?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Public hearing on ordinance 2022-14 is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak?
Move to close?
Second?
All in favor? Aye. Public hearing on ordinance 2022-14 is now closed. Do I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2022-14?
Move to adopt.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Clayton?
Yes.
Councilmember Kendall?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Quinn?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes.
If anyone has nothing else, we're on to adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.